race number 7 of the NRSL Winston SuperSpeedway Series, coming at you live under the lights in Pensacola, Florida, as we get ready to go racing at Pensacola SuperSpeedway. So far this season, we've had 6 races and a total of 5 winners, and we definitely have a very interesting scenario coming into this one. With this race included, 4 races remain in the regular season before we determine the 12 drivers, 10 via points, 2 via wildcard spot drivers that will battle it out in the 5-race playoffs system for the championship. This is going to be a 16-lap event. This race tracked the exact same distance as Coca-Cola Speedway that we were at last week, 3 miles in length. So a lot of time for drivers to make moves, and should be a pretty good battle here as well. And our last 2 races, M&M's and Coca-Cola, have been fuel strategy races. Who's to say we're not going to see a fuel strategy race in this one here tonight at Pensacola? Tell you what though, last week, Coca-Cola Speedway did a very good job of shuffling up the points a bit, especially as far as the top 10 in the points. It's also made the points battle closer than it was heading into Coca-Cola, as there's only a 3-point separation between Steve Morgan and Zachary Fitzwater. Advantage tonight to the 9 of Fitzwater, as he will be rolling off from inside the top 10, the 9 starting in the 9th position. It's also a very good wild card battle as well. Levi McIntyre fell outside the top 10 in points last week at Coca-Cola. That puts him, Diego Yepez, Eli Bright, and Benjamin Miles all in a pretty good fight for the first and second wildcard positions. We'll give you all that info in just a minute. Let's go down trackside and get the command.
Drivers, start your engines!
Front row comprised of Emmanuel Hartnett and Kyle Keith. Hartnett comes into this race 30th in the points, just borderline to be able to have a win count towards a wild card position. Kyle Keith went into Coca-Cola inside the top 10 in points. Mechanical problems plagued him, and he fell outside of the top 10 in the points, now 18th coming into this race as far as his points position. Top 10 in the points, though, coming into this race. If the season were to end, they'd make it in via point standings. Steve Morgan, the points leader, and Zachary Fitzwater second. 3-point separation, as we already mentioned. Zach Rogers, 2-time winner, is third. Ashlyn Boyd, fourth, and Alex Gray in fifth. The rest of your top 10 would be Joseph Srigley, Angel Navarro, Justin Zajdel, Johnny Gardner, and James Richardson. Gardner and Richardson moved into the top 10 after good finishes last week at Coca-Cola. Right now, your wild card spots would be held by Levi McIntyre. He is 12th in the point stands, our winner from the season opener at Daytona. And right now, the second spot would be Eli Bright, last week's winner. His win moving him up to 25th in the point stands. The other 2 drivers that would be eligible to battle for the wild card positions are Diego Yepez and Benjamin Miles. They come into this race. Yepez 29th in points. Benjamin Miles is 32nd in the stands. So right now, his win would not count towards a playoff position as far as a wild card spot, because he is outside of the top 30 in the point standings. So he'll be looking for a good run here tonight to get himself back into the top 30 in the points. And our last 3 races at Hillside, M&M's, and Coca-Cola. At Hillside, it was the driver that came in dead last in the points that went to victory lane. M&M's, the driver who came in 38th in points, went to victory lane. And last week, the driver that came in that race at Coca-Cola 35th in points went to victory lane. So I'm looking down at the bottom at the cellar of the point stands at names like A Garcia, Alexander Rowe, J Bryant, Shane Lake, Charles Sandfer, Joshua Zakuli, Isaac Nichols, J Jefferson, J Shelly, and Tony Green. Those could be the guys. Those could be the favorites. Go to victory lane in this one. Green flags in the air. We're underway here at Pensacola. And I do apologize for the low frame rate. I have been trying everything to try and figure out what is wrong. It must be the mod that's causing the frame rate issues, because I don't remember having these kind of frame issues when I was doing the Taxi Truck Series, Pizza X Series, and Hershey's Cup Series races. And I've run a disk defragment and everything, and gotten twice the gigabytes of free space that I had before it, so I can only assume it's the mod that is causing the frame rate drops. Regardless, though, let's put aside the personal problems and let's focus on this race. Is up front, Joseph Srigley takes the step out on Emmanuel Hartnett. Tim Walsh going to think about 3 wide down here into 1. Lap 1 going to be completed by Emmanuel Hartnett. as the leader, and he was able to use the outside line to kind of swing around the 77 and 13 and keep the top position for the moment, as they are 4 wide, about maybe 2 rows deep, 3 rows deep behind him. Let's jump back to that. J Sandfer back in all of that, as well as last week's winner, Eli Bright. Tony Green right there in that mix. Zach Rogers way up top side. Fitzwater below him with LaPlante, Phil Parker there as well. J Shelly up the inside. And we are, for a brief moment, 5 wide there through turn 4. Tim Walch going to lead that lap, leading the outside line over A Garcia on the bottom. And now they'll slot 1-2 down the bottom of the racetrack, going through 1 and 2. How fast they go in here? They got to be going 220. Yep, how about 230? This is one of the faster super speedways on the circuit. We're seeing both the inside and outside line getting some good runs. Garcia now going to take the top spot. Here comes the points leader, Steve Morgan, into second. Shelly there to third. And boy, when they get down to this exit of turn 4, it's like a grenade explodes and the fragments go everywhere as everyone fans out. It's almost like watching a restart at Pocono where everybody's vying for the bottom of the racetrack. So far, good racing, but they've been able to keep it clean. We're still green flag racing, and we are about a quarter of the way through this race. All 42 cars, it looks like, are still up inside this lead pack as well, so all still with a shot to win this race. As Seth Cole now into second. All over the back bumper of the Kellogg's Cornflake Chevrolet. Now battled for third. Last week's winner, Eli Bright, might get stuck in the middle. Looks like that's Brenna Carmichael going to get kicked to the top side as Zach Winkle will move into third place. Winkle coming off a top 5 last week at Coca-Cola. Finished that race, I believe, was in the 4th position. It's either 3rd or 4th. It was 3rd. So he finished podium. Boy, they are 4 wide back there again. That was William Brock down the bottom of the racetrack there, putting James Richardson up in the middle. J Flickinger way up top side, and rim riding was the 77 of Joseph Srigley. I think maybe the guy that's in the best spot right now, the spot I would want to be, is Justin Zajdel. He's at the very tail end of this field, just riding for the moment. Diego Yepez now moves up into the 3rd position. That was McIntosh after a hard lick and a big wreck last week. He's now up into the 4th spot. Looks like his teammate J Bryant starting to close in. Last week, there were about 6-7 Fords that were involved in the big one at Coca-Cola. Now we're starting to see the Fords make their way to the front here in this one. McIntosh, Dylan Young there, the 28 and the 2, and I see back behind them Navarro and Stapleton, the 10 and the 21. Ooh, 36. Might have had 2 tires down there on the yellow line. Didn't look like they were below the yellow line. Seth Cole in the middle groove was able to lead that lap. One thing about Pensacola, too, if I recall correctly, the start-finish line is actually a little bit closer to the exit of turn 4 than it is the entrance to turn 1. So drivers need to make their moves for the win a little bit sooner than they would at, say, a Daytona or, you know, most of your typical super speedways where the start-finish line is in the middle of the front straightaway. Dallas McIntosh now moving to the top position. Then a couple of Pontiacs, Richardson and Preston Plord there in 2nd and 3rd. See them come down here to the start-finish line and see just how much longer it takes for them to get from the start-finish line to turn 1 as opposed from the exit of turn 4 to the start-finish line. I think I said this back at race 2, and we're now in race 7, and it still applies. That white and blue car, now in the middle line there, that is the Prime Star number 16 Ford of Ashland Boyd, now in the middle of a 5-wide situation. But I said back at race 2 that Ashland Boyd has been one of the quieter drivers this season, just going out there, getting decent finishes, keeping himself in the top 10 in points. That's exactly still the case. Ashland Boyd, despite a finish that was really not that great last week at Coca-Cola, still managed to gain a spot in the point standings and is 4th in points coming into this race. It's that kind of consistency and kind of being under the radar that gets drivers into the playoffs in this kind of format as the caution flag is out. It took until just about the halfway point for the yellow flag to come out, and now it's a battle between Richardson, Plourde, and McIntosh of who's going to lead us back here to this yellow flag. Plourde in the middle, McIntosh low. Which line's going to win it back to the stripe? Looks like McIntosh has the advantage, and he will lead us back to our first caution of the evening. Well, I guess it was just a matter of time. They were 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide for a time. This track is spacious, but there's not a whole lot of room for error. You make a mistake, it's going to cost you. There was a little bit of contact back there between Patrick Smith and Eli Bright. They were leaning on each other. Not sure what that was all about. And now the question is, were these drivers good to go to make it these full 16 laps on fuel? Would anybody be coming to pit road? It's like the reason for the caution, there were a couple of drivers that were involved in this. LaPlante, William Brock, Seth Cole, and Jonathan Zoerlein, all with damage. LaPlante with front end damage. The other 3 look like they've got rear end damage. Their entire rear deck lid's completely pushed in. So at least 4 drivers involved in the caution. Let's see if McIntosh will lead a parade down pit road. No, he will not. It's like everybody's staying out. There was a gap back there from McIntyre back to Isaac Nichols, but I don't think that's anybody coming to the pit lane, excuse me. Yeah, LaPlante, Zoerlein there on pit road. Seth Cole and William Brock didn't even come to pit lane, and you can clearly see the rear ends crunched up on both those machines. That's weird. So as Dallas McIntosh leads us under caution, we will get back green with less than 5 laps to go. Let's see what brought out this yellow flag. Let's see if we can find out how this started. I would watch maybe the 7 car up on the top side there, the Phillips Ford Taurus. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, down the bottom of the racetrack there's contact between Zach Rogers and Kyle Keith. Sends Keith up into William Brock, and that's what happened. Then they swept up the track into Seth Cole, Austin LaPlante, Jonathan Zoerlein, and Angel Navarro in the 10 was also involved. I wasn't aware that Navarro got a piece of that. Angel Navarro dropped 3 spots in the standings last week, down to 7th after getting involved in a wreck, and gets involved in a wreck here the following week. So 5 cars pretty much were involved in that one, and they weren't even the start of it. It was contact between the 24 of Rogers and the 42 of Kyle Keith that caused that wreck and brought out that caution. And both of them appeared to have gotten away relatively scot-free. But that's what brought out the yellow for the first time here tonight. Let's go back for the green flag. Lights are out top the pace car. When we go back green, it'll be 3 laps to go here at Pensacola. 3 drivers will not make it to this restart. Austin LaPlante, Jonathan Zoerlein, and Angel Navarro. So this second straight DNF could very well knock Navarro outside of the top 10 in points heading into next week. William Brock and Seth Cole didn't even come to pit road under that caution. And so they are going to be restarting in 38th and 39th. They're just going to hope and pray that another wreck takes place in the upcoming 3 laps so they can pick up some spots. Especially William Brock, who came into this race 15th in the point standings. He was only 5 points out of getting into the top 10 in points. So we'll see where this situates him after all is said and done. Seth Cole was 20th in the points. LaPlante was 19th in points. So some drivers that were hopeful of maybe being able to get into the top 10 in points after this one, looks like that's not going to be the case here when the checker flag waves at Pensacola. Dallas McIntosh comes into this race currently situated 23rd in the standings. Right behind him, Preston Plord is 22nd in points. Both of them looking to find victory lane for the first time this season. Plord has one top 5. Dallas McIntosh has one top 10 so far this year. Behind them, the battle for that points lead continues to brew between Fitzwater and Steve Morgan. Fitzwater up here inside of the podium in 3rd place. Johnny Gardner, who moved into the top 10 in points last week after a good run, is now up in the 4th position. And James Richardson, who also jumped in the top 10 last week, up to 10th. He's currently scored in 5th. Manuel Hartnett started on the pole. He'll restart in 6th. Then it's going to be Patrick Smith, Eli Bright, Shane Lake, and Ryan Brommer, the top 10. Green flag back in the air. 3 laps to go here at Pensacola. And just about, I would say, everyone from first back to about the 36th position still has a shot to win this race if they're in the right place at the right time. Single file start, so how long is it going to take for them to get back into that 3 wide, 4 wide, 5 wide racing we saw here at the beginning of this race? They're fanning out, trying to find some partners. Richardson down low, Eli Bright. Now Richardson tries to tuck back in line, forces his way in line in front of Emmanuel Hartnett. Right now it is Ford, Pontiac. And then another Ford, and then a Chevrolet as now the Ford steps down low, and Zachary Fitzwater, no help for his number 9. Preston Plord right now committed to the back bumper of the Texaco Haviland Ford. Fitzwater now going to help with help from Richardson, take 3rd from Gardner. Richardson moves to 4th. It's 2 Fords, 2 Pontiacs, and then the Chevrolets of Gardner, Hartnett, and Bright. If you're the 18, how long do you wait? It's going to have to make a move at some point because they're coming around this time to receive the white flag. If he goes, does anybody go with him? Preston Plord right there on the back bumper. Will he make a move here out of turn 4? Fitzwater goes low. No help again. Oh, now's your chance, Preston, if you want to make the move. Nope, he didn't. He might have had some momentum and some help down low from the 9, but not making the move yet. He's only going to have one more shot, and that's down this back straightaway. Will he go to the inside, or will he try and make a move to the inside? McIntosh, Preston Plord, Fitzwater, all trying to look for their first win of the season. Fitzwater going to try again. He's got some drafting help down there, Hartnett and Eli Bright, and that may have just sealed the deal and given the win to Dallas McIntosh. Out of turn 4 for the final time. The 28's going to go to victory lane for the first time this season. Dallas McIntosh is going to win here tonight at Pensacola. Fitzwater going to get 2nd. Preston Plord in 3rd. 4th place was Hartnett and Eli Bright. Completed the top 5. McIntosh, I think all he did those final 3 laps was run the line that you needed to run in order to make a pass. He took away any opportunity for Preston Plord to make a move. If Preston had tried making a move in the areas that McIntosh gave him the opportunity, he'd have more than likely been a sitting duck and been freight trained. As it was, he lost 2nd place there on the final lap to Fitzwater, but he probably would have finished maybe outside of the top 10 had he tried making a move that could have cost him a number of positions. It is a Ford 1-2 finish. Dallas McIntosh 23rd in the point standings, a little bit higher than what it's been the last couple of weeks, but he'll get the victory here tonight. Fitzwater will more than likely take the points lead heading into next week as he gets 2nd. He'll give you a top 5 with Plord, Hartnett, and Eli Bright. James Richardson gets 6th, Johnny Gardner 7th, so 1 week after jumping into the top 10 in points, they will probably solidify themselves in there with top 10 runs. Patrick Smith going to get 9th, Ryan Brommer in 9th, and 10th place was Diego Yepez. Zach Flickinger gets 11th. Steve Morgan, who came in as the points leader, probably will not leave as the points leader. Still a solid out in 12th, though. James Shelly, Dylan Young, and Alex Gray were the completion of your top 15. You look on down through the remainder of the finishing results. William Brock and Seth Cole did manage to finish on the lead lap, 38th and 39th, but they didn't get the wreck they were looking for in the closing stages. The struggles continue for Kyle Keith, as he'll finish in 37th. This will continue to drop him like a rock in the point standings, no doubt. And also, the same can be said for a couple of drivers like Zach Rogers, 36th. That's not the run he was looking for. Might have had some damage from that caution that we had. Who knows? And of course, Angel Navarro finishing dead last in this one. This will more than likely also drop him outside of the top 10 in the points. Also noticing 31st place was Justin Zajdel, who came in 8th in the point standings. So we could see some drivers falling outside of the top 10 in points and some new faces moving in. Looking at maybe possibly drivers like Dylan Young and Patrick Smith possibly jumping up into the top 10 in the points heading into next week. But that's going to do it here from Pensacola. Dallas McIntosh with the win. We'll have to see where this situates him in the point standings now with this trip to victory lane. And we will be looking forward to seeing you guys for race number 8. That'll be coming up next. Again, the venue uncertain, but you'll find out when we do. But till then, I've been Seth Cole. Thank you for tuning into this race. If you enjoyed it, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and come part of the crew today. We're showing you full finish results. These are your point standings heading into next week's race, as you've been watching a production of the NSRA Offline Racing at its best.